Today I'm bringing you a deck profile for one of my favorite new decks of the format, BYSTIAL Synchro. What's potion? You got Matt here, and welcome back to the Competitive YuGiOh video. One of my favorite decks post Age of Overlord is Dragon Link, and while the deck is still very good, I want to try something a bit different, and that led me to this, BYSTIAL Synchro. The deck can summon out level 10 synchros pretty much every single turn, but it can also end on insane pieces found in the Dragon Link end board, which is obviously fantastic. It's resilient, it's consistent, and it's got one of the best ways to beat through interruption in the format today. So if you're excited for the video, then make sure to smash the like button. If this video hits 100 likes, I'll bring you the ultimate combo guide for BYSTIAL Synchro. Also, if you like deck profiles, combo guides, meta discussions, and competitive Yu-Gi-Oh videos just like this one, you're gonna love this channel. So make sure to subscribe and help us reach our end of year goal of 3,000 subscribers. Now with that being said, here's the best BYSTIAL Synchro deck profile for the November 2023 post Age of Overlord competitive Yu-Gi-Oh format. Let's jump into it. So here we are back with the deck profile. We have a 40 card main, 15 card extra, and 15 card side deck tailored to the format right now for a BYSTIAL Synchro deck. Now, I am still pretty new to this specific build here. I want to try and make some adjustments as time goes on, but for right now, I'm really enjoying the way this deck plays. It rarely bricks, it's super consistent, and of course, the power level and recovery it has is absolutely top notch, and the fact that it can use pretty much every facet of the extra deck is incredible. So let's go ahead and jump on into it. Of course, guys, if you guys want a combo tutorial for this video, or for this guide rather, for this deck, then make sure to let me know by leaving a like on the video. If we manage to hit 100 likes, I'll bring you that combo guide right away. That would be next week. So starting off with the different packages of the deck, we have, of course, our BYSTIAL package, which is going to be 3 copies of the BYSTIAL Lubellion, 3 copies of the BYSTIAL Saronir, and then we have 3 copies, well, of different BYSTIALs, 1 Magnamut, 1 Druisworm, and 1 Baldrake. Now, if you'd like to play another Druisworm over the Baldrake, sure, go ahead. For me, I find that this is the perfect number of BYSTIALs. 9 BYSTIALs is perfect. So we have the Lubellion for a few different reasons. First, of course, the fact that you can search for any other BYSTIAL monster is absolutely incredible. It gives you a light in the graveyard as well. It's a body that is a level 8, which is important for our level 2 tuners in the deck. And of course, it can activate your branded spells and traps directly from the deck, playing around something like Droll and Lockbird or even Ash Blossom. So that's very important for this specific strategy. BYSTIAL Saronir is the second best BYSTIAL because it's able to get your engine going while also being interrupted. I would say that Lubellion is the best one in my opinion because it can get you to all the others, but Saronir itself not only starts your engine by being a BYSTIAL in general, but also because it's able to, when sent to the graveyard by any way, it's able to send any other BYSTIAL monster or branded spell or trap from your deck to the graveyard. It is critical for the success of the strategy by fueling your graveyard up with powerful pieces and also being able to get you access to some branded spell or traps you may not have access to through your initial combo. On top of that, being level 6 is great for our tuners that we have in the deck, our level 4s and our level 2s to get us into our Synchro 8s and 10s. Magnamut, of course, you guys know what you love it, limited to 1. If it wasn't, it would definitely be seen play at 3 copies. The fact that it can get you any dragon at the end phase of which it's special summoned is absolutely critical. I definitely recommend playing this card if you have access to it, of course. Druisworm, if you want to play a second copy, by all means, go for it. I would, if I had one, I would definitely cut the BYSTIAL Baldrake, but for right now, I think Baldrake does have some utility in strategy. The fact that you're able to tribute other dragon monsters is really nice because it does come up if you can tribute cards. It's really important. And then Druisworm, of course, sending cards to the graveyard is great as well. Having a great effect in grave is really important for the specific strategy. But the reason why I'm not too upset that I don't have it at more than 1 is because I do have access to Magnamut, which can recur it from the graveyard, and I do have access to BYSTIAL Spader, which can recur it from Banished Zone and Regained, and there's so many ways to recur resources in this deck that I don't feel too bad about it. But that's going to be it for our BYSTIAL count here, our standard BYSTIAL count. We have 9 BYSTIAL monsters. I feel like this is the perfect ratio for me and my specific build. Moving on though to our normal summons in the deck. I love to have at least, I'd say, 7 or 8 normal summons that are really solid in the deck. And one of the best ones in traditional Dragon Link is going to be Starliege Seyfert. Now, Seyfert is fantastic for this strategy here. Not only is it going to be able to get you lights in the graveyard, but it can search out any BYSTIAL monster you need. It can also search out any level 8 dragon as well, and level 4 dragon, whatever case, whatever you might need, Seyfert can get it for you. Its graveyard effect is also fantastic, recurring your resources to be able to go and attack people again with bigger bodies by getting the Lubellion in rotation or other cards that we have in our strategy in rotation. Of course, because we're playing Seyfert, we are playing, of course, the 1 copy of White Dragon Wyverburster and the 1 copy of Black Dragon Collapse Serpent. These 2 cards are must plays in any deck that is playing Seyfert. The fact that you can send Seyfert itself, get the Collapse Serpent, then special Collapse Serpent, link into the Striker Dragon, then trigger the Collapse Serpent to get the Wyverburster, go into Wyverburster, and you get the Seals, or something like the SP Little Knight is obviously fantastic, and I definitely recommend it for that reason. So yeah, very very strong package here. Cast to see play, in my opinion, because of how good it is. The fact that they're level 4s is great. The fact that we have 4 level 4 light monsters is fantastic. Pair them with our level 6 dark monsters. You get the Chaos Angel for the max benefit. It's really, really strong. So that's going to be our copies of the Chaos package there. We then have our, this one here is a little bit interesting, okay, because a lot of people are playing this package at a much higher level. They're playing many more cards to suit this package. I don't think you need to. So we're playing the 1 copy of Quem, the 1 copy of Cartesia, the 1 copy of the Bestial Aluber, and the 1 copy of Albaz. Yeah, so this might be the most questionable inclusion into the deck right now. It's 4 cards into the main deck. It's also 4 cards in the extra deck. And that seems like a lot, a heavy investment in the extra deck especially. But let me explain why. First off, these 3 monsters up top here are all very important. The fact that they're light monsters is great. The fact that level 4 tuners is incredible. And of course, the fact that they are summonable off of quite a few different effects is also great as well. Quem is one of the additional normal summons in the deck. The fact that on summon, you can send either the Cartesia, the Bestial Aluber, or even Fallen Albaz directly from your deck to the graveyard is great because you can then recur them back with other resources. It's also good to get a dark monster or a light monster in graveyard for your Bestials. So if you have Quem plus any Bestial, you're able to get 2 guaranteed a Bestial Dispater with another card on board, which is very nice. So that's obviously really strong. The fact that it's also able to recur your resources from the graveyard is nice because you can actually take advantage of its second effect. When a monster leaves the extra deck, you can summon back a Fallen of Albaz or a monster that mentions it, which is really strong. Then we have Cartesia. Now Cartesia is great for fusion summoning, which is again useful, but mainly it's here as a way to be a free special summon if we end up opening up with the Cartesia in our hand and we have a way to get access to the Bestial Aluber in our graveyard, which is pretty common because we do play something like the Bestial Saronir. The fact that the Bestial Aluber has, I think it's 4 or 5 really unique things about its stat line is important. So first off, it is a Bestial monster. Number 1, that's fantastic. Secondly, it is a level 4 tuner. Very good. Then we have third, it's a dark monster. Then we also have the fact that it's treated as a Fallen of Albaz in the graveyard. That's also incredible. So those 4 things right there are super critical to this card here. It's not a good card by any means, but the fact that it has those 4 things in common is huge. You can send it off Cartesia. Sorry, you can send it off Quem, I should say. You can send it off of Saronir. It's a level 4 tuner. It's a dark. It's got so many good things going for it. You have to play this card in the strategy. So if we have this in graveyard, or even the Albaz in graveyard or on field, we can summon out the Cartesia as well. And if we have Albaz with Cartesia, we're able to get into a level 8 synchro, which is still very strong right there. So I want to have that as an option. Now you might be saying, why are you playing the Fallen of Albaz? Most people are just playing these 3 over here, and they're playing at this, probably the Quem and the Cartesia at 2 or 3 copies each. And I know I'm playing this at a very low count, but the reason why I'm playing the Albaz is because this card here, the best end board for this deck is not a massive wombo combo. It is some variations of seals with something else. Going into seals is fantastic. Even better than that is you use seals, you tribute itself, return something on the field to the hand, then you summon out the Albaz off of seals effects, discard a card, fuse with your opponent's monster. Absolutely insane. It's just an incredible combination here. So definitely recommend playing the Albaz in strategy. It's a great way to break boards. It's a great option against so many different strategies because of that reason. And the fact that it's a level 4 dragon monster and a dark all play its role. So I really like this combination here. This would be the first thing that I would cut or make an adjustment to depending on what I might want to play. I'm not playing the Resonator package in the strategy. I'll explain a bit more later why, but I'm not playing Resonators here, and I feel the reason why it makes sense to play this at this specific number is because of how good the Aluber is and the Fallen of Albaz are in the strategy, and I don't want to have too many normal summons with the Starlight Safer in the strategy, so keep that in mind. Now, let's go ahead and move on to the next package of the deck, and that's going to be our Synchron package, and that's going to be the 2 copies, well, I shouldn't say our Synchron package, I should say our tuner package. So we have 2 copies of Assault Synchron, and we have the 1 copy of Ringo Worm, the 100 Apple Dragon. Now these are our level 2 synchros tuners in the deck, I should say. So Assault Synchron is fantastic in this strategy. The fact that you have a level 2 Starline is great because it pairs amazing with your level 8 Bestial Rebellion. It pairs amazing with your level 6 Bestials. It pairs fantastic with so many different options in the strategy. If a face-up dragon synchro monster is banished or tributed, then you can actually use this effect where you banish this card here from your graveyard and then special summon that card back to your field, which is obviously fantastic to recur your resources. So a very popular combo is going to be something like Assault Synchron with a Bestial Rebellion in your hand. That's one of the best combos for the deck to open with. It gets you guaranteed 2 level 10 synchros on the field for a 2-card combo. It's absolutely incredible. Highly recommend it. On the other hand, Ringo Worm, the 100 Apple Dragon. The reason I'm playing this at 1 copy, and I might want to bump it up to 2 copies, is the fact that number 1, level 2 tuner, important, it's a light, obviously great, but it is a dragon. It is a level 4 or lower dragon. So in a pinch, this can technically be used as a normal summon if you absolutely have to. Because if you normal summon this card, link something like the Striker Dragon, you get a light in your graveyard, you can then go into something like your Bestial Serenade, link off into Seals, and then you have your engine going again. So just keep that in mind. It's one of the reasons why we do play it here. The fact that it's easily able to be linked off is really important, and of course the star line and the attribute is all really important, so I definitely recommend it. And that's going to be our level 2s in the deck. Would I play more of them? Again, I was debating going to 3 tuning, 2 assault synchron, or the opposites, 3 synchron, 2 tuning. I felt like this was the better ratio for me, and then I definitely was debating putting this up to 2 copies in the deck, but I want to keep it at 40, and I really like the other level 4 tuners in the strategy. So our final 2 main deck dragon monsters are going to be the 1 Noctivision Dragon and the 1 Chaos Dragon Levianeer. Now these might be a little bit of an interesting inclusion, maybe not so Levianeer, you guys might like this card a lot. Personally, in straightforward regular Dragon Link, I do not like to play Levianeer. I don't think it's the best option for the strategy, so I kind of cut it most of the time. At the end of the day, the fact you're able to banish a bunch of cards and use those later on as resources, as able to get you Disruption with Bestial Despater, and of course be able to shuffle some of them back with the effects of Branded Regained is great. It's a level 8, so this with the level 2 tuner is fantastic. You never want to hard draw this card though. One of the reasons why you do play it is because there's quite a few different ways to search it between cards like Stardew Safer and of course Chaos Space. So you want to have access to it there. And of course, because it is searchable off of those cards here, I really don't want to have it in my opening hand pretty much ever. So keep that in mind. Then we have Noctivision Dragon. Noctivision Dragon, I love this card because it is a free special summon whenever a dark dragon monster is special summoned to your side of the field. Not necessarily a link monster or a synchro monster. You summon out a bestial, boom, Noctivision Dragon comes down. The best part about that is you link those 2 cards off into Seals. Now you get Seals Interruption, which is great, but you also get a draw off the Noctivision Dragon as well. That is so strong. I love to open up this card in my hand. I just wouldn't play it at more than 1 copy, really, because right now you want to have a way to be able to get other cards on the field. You have so many high star monsters that can't normal summon themselves out that need a bit of setup, so I don't want to actually have this card here as my option. I don't want to brick on it. So right now 1 copy is perfect for both these cards here. I was thinking about cutting the Levianeer. Not the biggest fan of it, especially in pure Dragon Link, but for right now, I am pretty happy with the star line. The fact that it's dark, the banishing, all that stuff is really nice, and of course the destruction and disruption that it has in the hand is also great as well. That's gonna be it for our main deck engine pieces for the monster side. Now let's go ahead and move on to our spells and traps. Starting off, of course, with the 1 limited copy of Chaos Space. This card is absolutely fantastic. This is the best card in the deck, in my opinion. The fact that you're able to get to your Bestial Lubellion, to your Baby Dragons, to your Chaos Dragon Levianeer is all absolutely critical. It replaces itself, or recycles itself, I should say, rather, by banishing itself and putting a card into the bottom of your deck. When you draw a card is huge. And then, of course, because it's in the banish zone, you can always use the effect of your Bestial Despater to put it back into your deck and then be able to search for it again, which is obviously insane. I love this card. It is one of my favorite cards of all time. Next up, though, is going to be 3 copies of Tuning. Yeah, I was saying before, I felt the need to play 2 Assault Synchron and 3 Tuning. And the reason why is because I love the ability to mill with this card. Yes, it helps you, you lose a bit more to Droll and Lockbird, but this deck here, compared to traditional Dragon Link, has a much better time dealing with Droll than, again, traditional Dragon Link does. So for that reason, I felt that Tuning was a better option to play than the 3rd Assault Synchron. Again, if you want to go 3 Assault, 2 Tuning, I don't mind. I think 5 of them is the correct ratio here. So for right now, I do love this. I love the ability to mill a card. If you mill something like a Serenade, oh my god, you mill a Safer, Jesus. There's so many insane things that you can do if you manage to mill a solid card, and it also turns on your engine in case you don't want to normal summon something and then link it off and get the right things in graveyard, basically. So that's why we play the Tunings. We then play, I'm gonna move off these cards here because this might be an interesting discussion here. So I then play 2 copies of Branded Regained and the 1 copy of Beast. Now you might be saying, this is pretty standard, the Beast, the Regain, sure, but I play 2 Regain, which is not the most standard thing in the world. The reason why I play 2 of them is because this card here is your recovery. This card is so incredible in the strategy. In my opinion, it is one of the reasons why this deck is even possible to be played. The fact that you can get the first one off of your effective Lubellion, and then if you have the second one in your hand at any point in time in the duel, because you do draw a lot, you're going to be able to have recovery in case your opponent destroys the original copy and they destroy the Beast as well. Branded Beast, of course, is great because it tributes the Dragon monster. So if you have an Assault Synchron in graveyard and you go effective Beast, tributing Despater, for example, to destroy an opponent's card, you can then trigger the effect of Assault Synchron, banishing itself, summon back the Despater. That's insane. What a great combo there. I love that as well. And of course, if you tribute the something like the Spheres, that's great too. If you tribute something like the copy of Druid's Worm, you get rid of the opponent's monster and you can send another card your opponent controls to the graveyard, which is great. Another special summon monster your opponent controls to the graveyard. So fantastic here. I love this combination. Moving on to our non-engine, that there is 30 cards as part of our engine. We then have 3 copies of Ash Blossom, 3 copies of Droll and Lockbird, and then we have, of course, 3 copies of Triple Tactics Talents, and then the 1 Call by the Grave. So Ash, best hand from the format, in my opinion, super good against a lot of different rogue decks. It's really good in a lot of different situations. Droll and Lockbird is good against a lot of the problematic decks in the format, the bigger wombo combo decks. And if you have a real problem with this strategy is if your opponent puts up a ton of negates, too many negates to deal with, then this deck can kind of flounder a bit. It can play through a lot, it really can, but you want to have a way to stop them from putting up like 6-7 interruptions. So Droll and Lockbird really helps with that. Talents is also fantastic, takes control of a monster, draws 2 cards, or looks at your opponent's hand. Most of the time, if you're going first, you'll want to look at your opponent's hand because you can then get rid of something like a Dark Ruler No More, the 1 card starter they have, whatever the case might be. Talents is so good in this strategy, and then Call by the Grave is there for the problematic Ash Blossom, or the problematic Veiler, or Droll, or whatever the case might be. You want to have access to Call by as just a smaller out to something that's good for you going first, but also good going second. That's going to be our main deck, though, 40 cards on the dot. So let's go ahead now and move on to our extra deck, and you might say this is a little bit of an interesting extra deck as well. So starting off our extra deck, we have our level 10 synchros, the 1 copy of Abyssal Despatter, the 1 copy of Baronne de Fleur, and the 1 copy of Chaos Angel. These are our level 10 synchros in the strategy. If I were playing a bigger synchro count, I would probably add in the Chenging. I think that's a pretty solid option here as well. The fact you can banish cards, recycle them back as well is also really solid. Abyssal Despatter is the best card in the deck, the best card in the extra deck, I should say. It's such a fantastic card for this specific strategy. It is engine, it is disruption, it is negation, it is extension, it is so much for this strategy. It is a huge body as well. It can be made very easily in the strategy, and it's almost always going to be on your end board. Baronne is self-explanatory. This card is fantastic. Negation, Omni Negation, the only option for Omni Negation in the extra deck. So we want to keep that in mind. This card is pretty important to end on at times. Also, the Destruction is great. And the fact that you have its standby phase effect. Do not forget about standby phase effect. Even if you did not use its effect to negate a card, you can always just send it back to the extra deck and get yourself back something like a Bestial Magnamut or a Jerusalem or whatever the case might be, a starter, and be able to continue your plays that way. So Baronne is obviously a fantastic choice as well. And then Chaos Angel, really good in this strategy. Is it critical? Do you have to play Chaos Angel to make this deck work? No, it's nice to have though. So I would recommend playing it, but if you don't have it, I get it, don't play it. Moving on though to our level 8 synchros, we have our 1 copy of XL Stardust Synchro Dragon, or XL Synchro Stardust Dragon, and the 1 copy of Cypher Lord Omega. Yeah, we're doing degenerate stuff here today. This card here is great because you can loop it over and over. You can do it at least, I think you can do it at least 3 times in a turn is what I've been able to do. And then you can rip a card out with something like the Talents. The most common thing you're gonna be able to do is do it twice, because you can use it once, send it away, and then bring it back with something like Despater, and then use it again to rip 2 cards out of your opponent's hand. Obviously really good. And then of course its graveyard effects as well, to be able to get it back into the deck is really nice too. Then we have XL Synchron Stardust Dragon. This card has to be played in the deck. Any deck that plays Assault Synchron, any variant of this deck that plays Assault Synchron has to play this one. Some people are playing the initial Stardust Dragon, the regular Stardust Dragon. I was thinking about it. I would love to play it. There's just not enough room in the extra deck. That's all. But both these cards here are very good. This card is cuttable, but I really like the utility of having it, so I would rather keep it than not have it. Anyways, moving on is going to be our link, starting off with the 1 copy of Striker Dragon, mandatory to play in the deck. The 2 copies of Spheres. I think these cards are mandatory to play in the deck at 2, and then the 1 IP and the 1 SP. So let's talk about this. These 4 cards, I should say, are all important. Striker Dragon is great because while we aren't playing Boot Sector Launch, the fact that you're able to get dragons into the graveyard is huge. It turns our Safer into a way to get a light monster into the graveyard. It turns on the ability to have Little Knights be an interruption, going second right away, without having to worry about going to IP or whatever first. You can just go straight into Little Knights, and then if your opponent answers you, you can just go chain effect the Little Knight, banish itself, and banish another card, and you're great. Then you can use the effect of the Bestial Despater, bring back the Little Knight, and you're in a great position. Anyways, I digress. Fantastic option here. You have to play it. We then have 2 Spheres. Seals is one of the best cards in the extra deck. It is so incredibly strong. This card is so good because it returns cards to the hand without targeting. It tributes for cost, so you can play around something like Imperm. It's great. And of course, when it's tributed, you can special summon any dragon from your deck, which is so strong. And then IP and SP. SP is the best card in the game right now. Best generic card in the game, I should say. Really strong. And then IP, being able to have Spheres, IP with like regain setup is so strong. So I definitely recommend having these. And these 2 cards are pretty strong in the strategy as well. Moving on though, we're going to go to our 1 XCs in the main deck, and that's going to be our Hieratic Dragon King of Atum, 2 level 6s, so 2 Bestials gets the job done here. And then if you have really awkward hands with multiple Bestials and one way to get a dragon in graveyard or one way to get a light or dark in graveyard, you can go into Atum, get out any starter you want, any normal summonable card you want, and then just really go off that way, and then you're able to basically send this to the graveyard. It's a light monster, you're in a great position to be able to start banishing it as well for your Bestials, and you're off to the races. Just a solid option. And then we have our fusions. Yeah, we're playing fusions in this strategy. We are playing the Albas. We are playing the 1 copy of Albion, the 1 copy of the Lubellion, and then the 1 Mirror Jade, and the 1 Rinbrum. This is our lineup here. Why is this our lineup? Albaz and Lubellion are great to start our Albaz engine. There's just super solid options pretty much in every situation. The fact that Albion needs a light monster and Lubellion needs a dark monster is great. They fusion summon as well. They banish or shuffle resources back into the deck, which is really important. So you want to have these for sure. Mirror Jade is obviously the heart and soul of the Albaz. Attacking in the extra deck is so strong. The fact that this card here can banish a card from the extra deck, any one of these 3 here, or send them to the graveyard, I should say, and banish, non-target banish a card on the field is so strong. Rinbrum is an interesting choice. A lot of people are playing the Granganol, the Dust Dragon in this strategy instead. I like Rinbrum for a few reasons. If you send Rinbrum off of the Mirror Jade, that's great because you can always banish the Rinbrum to summon back the copy of the Albaz. And that's great because then it gives you another piece of interruption on your opponent's turn. If you go back into Lubellion, for example, you can then shuffle back in something like the Mirror Jade or the Rinbrum or whatever the case might be back into the deck and recur your resources that way. And of course, the Albaz to get you into your Mirror Jade. So again, really, really solid option here. I love the fact that we have this combination. Moving on to our side deck, we have, of course, 3 copies of Evenly Matched. It's a fantastic card. This format, able to answer so many different end boards. Most of the time, it will get negated, but if you open up 2 of them, oh my god, you're in a great position. Also very important here, if your opponent doesn't have Omni Negation on the field, then you have a way to get past pretty much their entire board, which is so strong, or at least force something out, which is really good. Then we have 2 copies of Nibiru. I think this card is great against all the combo decks of the format. I think it's pretty important to play. I'd love to play it at 3 copies, but I just don't have room in the side deck right now. So for the time being, we're playing it at 2. There are cards in here that are cuttable, so if you want to play another option, then you definitely can. So we're gonna get rid of these 2 over here, and now we're gonna go into our 2 copies of Lightning Storm and our 1 Harpy's Feather Duster. This is our back row hate, and of course our board wipe in Lightning Storm. Just fantastic options again against so many different decks right now. I was thinking about Cosmic Cyclone to get rid of these continuous spells and traps that are like floodgates, but I just felt like this was a bit better in my opinion. Moving on though, we have the 3 copies of Spellbound. Yeah, Spellbound I think is a great card in this deck because it's good going first and going second. If you realize that Droll is bad against your opponent, or you realize that you don't need talents because they're not playing a deck with any cards that will interact on your turn, then Spellbound is fantastic. It's so good at so many different strategies right now, and because Dragon Link has so many interruptions, sometimes just adding Spellbound to that makes so that they can't get access to something like the SP Little Knights, or something like their big bad boss monster from the extra deck, and it's so strong for that reason. We then play 2 different Kaijus, 1 light, 1 dark. That's all we need. Having access to them is great because you can always get 1 of the attributes you need into the graveyard, which is obviously solid. We have, unfortunately, no Dragon Kaijus, and we have, unfortunately, I believe it's no level 8 Dark or Light Kaijus, which I would love to see, but unfortunately, we don't. And then our final 2 cards, we have the 1 Typhon and the 1 Scarlight. Now, Typhon is great because if we're going up against a deck that really relies on 3,000 attack point or higher monsters, Typhon is fantastic. But if not, it's kind of useless in this strategy, so I want to side it. And then, of course, we have Scarlight for time purposes, and that's really it. So that's going to be my deck profile for this Bestial Synchron deck. If you guys like this video, then let me know down in the comments below. I do want to address some things. So a lot of you might be asking, where's the Resonator package? It's an incredibly common package to see, especially in a Bestial Synchro deck, but the reason I'm not playing it is because I'm also not playing the Horus engine. If I were, I'd drop the Albaz package for it and a few of the other level 4s in the strategy. But anyways, there you have it. That is my Bestial Synchro deck profile for November 2023 post Age of Overlord competitive Yu-Gi-Oh format. If you guys enjoyed the video, then make sure to leave a like. If we hit 100 likes on the video, I'll bring you the ultimate Bestial Synchro combo guide. And if you have any questions about the list, I'd love to answer them for you down in the comments below. And of course, guys, subscribe for more amazing competitive Yu-Gi-Oh content and help us reach our end of year goal of 3,000 subscribers. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all next time.